He moves, poses, and articulates issues like a real leader. Many think he's a lawyer, but he's not.
Like ushafanya law, when the lawyer or something.
Actually, I don't.
Yeah, I thought you were a lawyer.
No, man, actually.
He's eloquent, bold, and a proud alumni of the Alliance High School.
And I went to the Alliance High School.
He has been likened to the late Tom Mboya, and others believe that he's the Kenyan Thomas Shelby. What you may not know is that his grandfather, a pilot, was part of the team that participated in the 1982 Kenyan coup. So the fighting spirit runs in the blood.
Akaniletea album, yeah, a person who looks like the older version of me. Like, huyu ni nani wako, alikuwa pilot, alijaribu kunini Moi na aliwekwa solitary confinement for 11 years. Akanionyesha hiyo kitu yote.
His name is Kasmuel MCOURE. He rose to fame during the nationwide demonstrations that erupted in Kenya over a controversial tax bill, the Finance Bill 2024. Before even all this occurred, Kasmuel had a sizable fan base thanks to his Instagram and TikTok, where he shares musical content and at times blessing his audience with insightful nuggets of information about anything he feels like. If you happen to go through his TikTok or Instagram, then you'll see quality videos, and he's always donned in sharp suits. And this is one of the things that made him to stand out in the protest. Unlike most protesters who wore casual outfits, Kasmuel was fully donned in decent vintage suits. These are some of the pictures, and this was his first day at the protest. He will later attend more protests with more style and more vigor. So you know, Kasmuel didn't attend these events to take pictures. All this happened by accident. Just like other young people, he was agitated by the state of this government, and his desire for a better Kenya was the reason he was on the street. He was vocal, actively rallying other Kenyans to participate in the countrywide demos, to fight for the youth's future and demand accountability from the government. His videos and pictures went viral, and with this achievement, people must talk and talk rubbish. Some have claimed that he faked his abduction, is a clout chaser, he has a main character syndrome, and that he was not even one of the best mobilizers, apart from the suit which he kept recycling every now and then. Some defended Kasmuel, saying, "No need to hate, all I can see is a courageous young man at the front line." Kasmuel was not shaken, he even said it, "People will like me, people will hate me, and that has nothing to do with me. I know exactly where I want to be, and I'll get there." Many now know him as anti-finance bill mobilizer, but there's a lot of things that Kasmuel has done and is currently doing. He has battled with mental issues for years and is grateful to be alive today. Today, we'll explore the life of Kasmuel MCOURE, where he came from, and why some people believe is the next Tom Mboya. Remember to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Kasmuel MCOURE is a man of many talents. He's a music consultant and educator, an activist, sartorialist, financial analyst, and a great debater.
It's a bit hot in here and the fans are trying their best, but this motion is siding with the sun, I propose. To my opponents, here you have come and given us a 5-cent argument on a $10 motion that a cashless economy is most definitely the best stimulus to economic growth. I mean, you come here and tell me that cash payment is the only mode of payment that is legalized as tender. Are you trying to tell me that when any one of us here, our judges or our teachers, go out there to their ATM cards, they just go there to have fun?
That is Kasmuel at the Great Debaters Contest, proposing the motion, "A cashless economy is the best stimulant for economic growth." He was representing his school, Maranda High School, and they were battling a school called the Great Seed of Hope School. Maranda crushed their opponents and ended up winning that debate with a whooping 74%, and the opponents only getting 40%.
Maranda High School, the judges saw it fit to award you 74%. You are our winners for the debate.
If you watch the debate or you've watched it, then you can agree that Kasmuel was destined for greatness. He's not struggling to explain his points. He explains them flawlessly, confidently, and with a dash of sarcasm. And all this began way back as a little child. He was a bubbly child. But the sad part is that the adults around him did not like that, and they called him naughty and mischievous. He came from a humble background. His family lived in Karen, Nairobi, in a single room. Karen, single room, I know you're also wondering. Anyway, they were poor. They did not have a table, and he will end up doing most of his assignments on his lap, but he was optimistic that things will be different.
I come from a very humble background. We lived in a single-roomed blue tin shack in Karen. Those of you who know where Karen is, you know it's one of the leafy suburbs of Nairobi, yes? But our home was more leaf than it was suburb.
He attended Carroll Academy for his primary education, and it's at this stage that he developed a passion for music and was intrigued by musical instruments. He claimed that his mother was his greatest musical influence, and she exposed him to the best music.
Person to whom I owe I call my greatest musical influence, my mother, because she did her best to ensure that I was exposed to the best music that I could be.
Another musical influence is Kanye West. At one moment, he heard Kanye West's song Homecoming and fell in love with the song, and would later sample more Kanye West music, and this was just the beginning of his journey into music. After performing well in his KCPE exams, he joined the Alliance High School, one of the top public schools in Kenya. Alliance is known to be a place for silent geniuses, and him being an extrovert, it was hard for him to cope. That was not the only problem. He also encountered classism. He was a child of poor parents, but he didn't like to be referred to as poor, to the point of missing out on sponsorships because sponsorships are for poor people.
I also did not want the tag of being called poor or broke. So what I did was to ensure anything that would enable me to be identified with that tag, I missed out on. So there were very many opportunities for sponsorship. I did not go for it because I thought sponsorships were for poor people.
He didn't want to be seen as a poor kid who couldn't afford snacks or nice clothes. And this made him to seek solace in the dormitory and spent most of his time playing music and the instruments. At the Alliance, he had a very rough high school experience. He was suspended 5 times, and the 6th time he was given an indefinite suspension.
It was hard for me because I was one of those really creative people and I wanted to explore the world. And I went on about 5 suspensions, and I think the 6th one was an indefinite suspension.
In Form 2, he tried to commit suicide, but that never happened. And all this is because he was mentally disturbed, and the issues with mental health began way back after he was sexually assaulted at 11 years and faced several months of bullying.
I can explain where the bullying started and what I had done to deserve it, but I can't quite tell you what I did to cause the sexual assault. You see, children do not know what to do with sexual information. That's why you find a lot of people come out many, many years after it happened. It's because when you're sexually assaulted, you feel worthless, you feel filthy and very dirty. It's an ever-enduring feeling of dirt.
After being suspended from Alliance High School, he returned home, but things were still the same. He was depressed. In that period, he discovered adult content, but this still did not numb his pain, and he fell back into depression. He got another chance to continue with his education at Maranda High School. He scored an A- and would later join the Technical University of Kenya, where he studied a Bachelor of Commerce in Finance and graduated with honors. In campus, he was teaching music for a living, and he had to juggle between music education and his studies, and even got a job at the hotel, but it ended in 2020.
I got a phone call that I will not be playing that gig again. So this gig, which was paying some of my bills, had gone.
At the time, he had helped a group to audition for the Old Mucho competition that was in South Africa, and they were taken. He was to accompany the team, but that never happened. His musical talent enabled him to play at the Engage Talk stage in 2020, and he was chosen to be the band leader for Engage. He later established a band called Maskani, Kenya's jazz orchestra. He was still struggling with mental health, despite the fact that he now had too much freedom to do anything. His turning point would later come in the weeks that led to the 9th of October 2023, and he knew he needed help. He got into a near-fatal accident on Thika Road. He wondered why he did not die, as he had attempted suicide 3 times a month before. His friends would later take him to a mental hospital, and he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, ADHD, and anxiety disorder. Now, many don't know that side of Kasmuel. Some know him because of his music or the content he was posting on TikTok. But he became widely known because of the recent Occupy Parliament protest. But even before that, he participated in several protests. In 2021, he participated in the Fungua Inchi campaign. And in January 2024, he participated at the Femicide March. The recent Occupy Parliament protest catapulted him to fame. But even before we discuss these pictures, why was Kasmuel on the streets of Nairobi holding a tear gas and a megaphone? On June 18, 2024, Kenya experienced an unexpected uprising driven by a bold new generation of young protesters, or the Gen Z. They did not like the fact that the government was trying to pass a finance bill in parliament that will involve increasing taxes. So they took to the streets to oppose the bill.
My name is Kasmuel MCOURE. I am a digital influencer and a musician. But what has brought me here to town today is standing in solidarity with my brethren who are rejecting the finance bill.
Unlike what many thought, they were fearless, marching past armed police who lobbed tear gas canisters at them or beat them up, including using live bullets. The protests occurred in Nairobi and other major towns across the country, bringing business to a halt. Unlike previous protests marred by violence, looting, and stone throwing, the Gen Z protesters exhibited maturity and peaceful conduct, maintaining a clear focus on conveying their message. They live-streamed intense encounters with the police using their smartphones. The protests were both physical and online, people using hashtags like Occupy Parliament, Unfollow Ruto, and Reject Finance Bill 2024 to pressure MPs to reject the bill and rally supporters. The strategy worked. The government announced it will scrap many of the bill's most contentious provisions, including taxes on bread purchases and car ownership. On June 25th, the protest turned deadly. Some people managed to break into the parliament building and set it on fire. Dozens of people were injured, and several others were killed. The President, William Ruto, denounced the protest as treasonous and claimed that the protests were hijacked by a group of organized criminals. On June 26th, he conceded to public pressure and said he will not sign the bill, and later called for its withdrawal, calling for a national dialogue involving the youth and all stakeholders from the private and public sectors to map the way forward for the country's budget.
I will not sign the 2024 finance bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn, and I have agreed with these members that that becomes our collective position.
Now, amidst the chaos, several young people stood out, and one of them is Kasmuel MCOURE. After his images and videos were shared online, Kenyans were impressed. His Twitter account blew up, and he moved from 400 followers to close to 40,000 followers. People started comparing him to Martin Luther King and Tom Mboya. This was something that he had not planned, contrary to what many think, and he had no idea that he had gone viral.
I see the photos. Now I start seeing, I'm like, hey, my Instagram is Nini, it's looking kind of funny. So do you how many stories I've mentioned you? And then now I see those 2 photos. And I'm like, sikuwa najua, ningevaa suti poa.
There were claims that he was paid, but Kasmuel had a different story. He made a post on X saying, "It's sad that there are people making money from these demos. All my mobilization has been out of pocket. All the interviews and errands I have run for the cause has been financed out of my little savings that are about to run dry. I haven't received any money from any organization. People congratulated him for his bravery, but he said there's nothing brave about him. It's actually foolish for him to go out there. He's just afraid that if he does nothing, he's still gonna die. He's scared and scarred. In an interview with the New York Times, Kasmuel said that he had previously been threatened and accosted by people who he thought were plainclothes officers, and no matter what they do, he will remain unbowed. He even appeared on an interview on The Trend and called out Kimani Ichung'wah for downplaying the Gen Z movement.
My name is Kasmuel MCOURE and I went to the Alliance High School. And I'm here representing the Old Boys Club to remind you that yes, Kimani Ichung'wah might have gone to that school, but I am Alliance High School's repentance for Kimani Ichung'wah's mistakes and his misdoings. That's what I'm here to do. I am here to atone for that. We owe you an apology.
Let me digress a bit. It's so funny.
During the protest, several anti-finance bill protesters were abducted, and Kasmuel was among them. He was kidnapped by people believed to be police officers during the June 25th demonstrations. He was later released but refused to disclose what happened to him while in detention. He made a post on X condemning the police brutality that led to the deaths of several people, including children. On the 27th of June, he still went back to the streets and joined the ongoing protest. In a live interview with Al Jazeera, he noted that he was freed in the morning, rushed to the house to change into a fresh suit, and went back to the streets immediately. A story that some people don't believe.
We were protesting and it got increasingly unsafe. As you've seen, there's barely any people here, but we've been tear gassed quite consistently. And I think this is an intimidation tactic by the state, which clearly has been scared. They did not expect this to come from its youth. President Ruto is running a country which has very heavily disgruntled youth, and this could have been sorted out by him just toning down, withdrawing the bill, and as a sign of goodwill, withdrawing the whole Appropriations Act, because we have no faith in our political class. We have no faith in their goodwill for us.
Kasmuel is just an example of many young people who came out to protest against the punitive finance bill. Maybe you are not noticed. It's okay. It wasn't about recognition or clout chasing, but the desire for change in this government and in this beautiful country. The good part is that it was not a poor man's protest, but everyone's protest. And the sad part is that we lost many young people in this fight, and may they rest in eternal peace. Never stop fighting for what is right. Thank you for watching this video, and let's meet on the next video.